Hey everyone, it's Ernesto from Social Work Mentor. And if you are a social worker that hasn't tried ChatGPT yet, I'm about to show you in real time just what's possible with ChatGPT. Let's get going on this one and you're going to be amazed by what you see. So let's start with this. Let me put in the demographic information that I made up and I'll show you what we can do here. So I'm just cutting and pasting, and I have this prepared already just to get it started. So let me read out loud in case you can't see it on your screen. This is what I'm telling ChatGPT in the prompt, what we're starting with. We're giving it this information.
You're a social worker with a 36-year-old female client who is unemployed, is homeless, uses methamphetamines and heroin, has a 10-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son with different fathers, and has been diagnosed with schizophrenia and ADHD. She is prescribed medication but does not medicate regularly. She has a restraining order on one of her children's fathers. Their only support is the client's 42-year-old stepsister.
Now this is what I'm telling ChatGPT to do. Here's where I give it the first command. Develop a 10-step case plan that's thorough and specific. And when we talk about prompts, I'm going to be doing some other videos just about how to formulate these prompts to get the best response. But for now, basic. Develop a 10-step case plan that's thorough and specific. So let's see what ChatGPT gives us. That was 2.5 seconds in case you're counting. And here we go. It's spitting out, based on what we told it, a case plan. And you can see it hopefully kind of in real time here, what it's giving us. So I'm actually using this at a little bit of a high traffic time. Some of you might have heard that ChatGPT is really being bombarded right now. They can't keep up with the demand of people using it. Usually it's very fast. It's a little bit slower tonight, but still faster than what I would be able to type out a case plan. Now let's go ahead and start reading some of these in case you can't see them on your screen. Provide immediate housing assistance. Work with local homeless shelters, nonprofit organizations, or government agencies to secure temporary housing for the client and her children. That's legit. Address substance abuse issues, refer the client to a substance abuse treatment program, and provide ongoing support for her recovery. Let's skip down. Provide support for parenting. Provide the client with resources and support to help her care for her children, including parenting classes, counseling, and respite care. Now remember, we just gave it that little paragraph of information, and it's spitting out all this stuff for a case plan. Evaluate and adjust the case plan as needed. Regularly evaluate the client's progress and adjust the case plan as needed to ensure that her children's needs are being met. So right off the top, all we told it was, here's the information about this client, give us a case plan. Within 2.5 seconds, total of maybe 15 seconds at this slow time, we got 10 items here. Now, if you were to use this, and I'm not suggesting that you do yet, but if you were to use it as just a guideline or a prompt for you in your work, you'd want to go in and tailor it to your specific situation. But given that, these are 10 pretty, legitimate points to be made on a case plan for this fictional client that we have here. So that's amazing off the top. So then let's think about where we might go during the course of this case as a next step once we have this case plan. So I'm going to go ahead and type in another question here. So let's say you're going to work with this client. The assessments are probably already done in this situation, but let's just ask ChatGPT. What are 10 main things to consider when assessing this client? So that's what we're asking now. We got the case plan. Now let's ask ChatGPT. What are 10 main things to consider when assessing this client? And let's see what it says in real time here. So it took about a second and here it comes. These are the things that ChatGPT is suggesting to us that we assess while working with this client. Housing situation. Evaluate the client's current housing situation and determine if she and her children are in need of immediate housing assistance. Medication regimen. Assess the client's adherence to her medication regimen and determine if any changes or modifications are needed. Parenting abilities. Evaluate the client's ability to care for her children, including any support she may need. Support systems. Evaluate the client's support systems, including the role of her stepsister, who, remember, we said that's her only support, and determine if additional support is needed. Barriers to progress. Identify any barriers that may impede the client's progress, such as lack of transportation or limited access to resources, and develop a plan to address them. So again, maybe not perfect, probably in need of some tailoring or making it specific to a particular situation, but those are definitely 10 legitimate things to consider when assessing this client. So we got that now. Let's take it a little further. Let's say we want to a little more direct suggestion or a little more specific. So let's ask it, what are 10 things to ask this client during an assessment? So we got its suggestions of what we should assess. Now we're asking it, okay, well, during an assessment, what specifically should we ask this client? So let's see what it tells us. 3, 2.5 seconds again. Can you tell me about your current housing situation? Have you been using any substances recently? How has your mental health been affecting your daily life? Are you taking your prescribed medication regularly? Have you been experiencing any safety concerns? Are you managing your responsibilities as a parent? What is your current financial situation like? Who do you rely on for support in your daily life? How are your children doing? What barriers have you been facing in your daily life, and how have you been coping with them? So 2.5 seconds, we have 10 specific questions we could ask ChatGPT to get into some of this assessment. And let's tell ChatGPT, give me 5 more, but include relevant context for the client's Latina cultural background. I don't know what this is going to give me, but let's see. We need 5 more. So they give us 10 questions to ask during an assessment. I'm telling it now. You need 5 more, but include relevant context for the client's Latina cultural background. Let's see what it tells us. 3. That took 3 seconds. Can you tell me about your cultural background and how it affects your experiences? Are there any specific cultural practices or beliefs that you would like to incorporate into your treatment plan? That's big. Have you faced any cultural or language barriers in accessing healthcare or other services? Are there any cultural support systems that you've relied on in the past, and would you like to continue utilizing them in your treatment plan? How has your cultural background affected your experiences with substance abuse or mental health? So there's 15 actual questions that we can ask this client during an assessment, including some stuff about culture that we just added right after the first 10. So, let's just think this through, and let me ask this next question. So assuming in this scenario that a worker is sitting down asking these assessment questions, so let me ask, how should the social worker avoid bias during the assessment? Let's see what it tells us. 2, 3, 2.5 seconds looks like what it's taking tonight. So these are something for the social worker to think about now in terms of considering and assessing their own bias. ChatGPT is telling them, educate yourself, familiarize yourself with the client's cultural background, and be mindful of any stereotypes or biases you may hold. Use active listening skills, pay close attention to what the client is saying, and avoid making assumptions or jumping to conclusions. Consider power dynamics. Be mindful of any imbalances in the assessment, such as language barriers or differences in educational or socioeconomic status. Reflect on your own biases. Regularly reflect on your own biases and actively work to address and challenge them. I just read a few of them, but before going into this assessment, this worker has here a list of 10 things to think about if they're concerned maybe about some biases that they may hold towards women or towards Latinas or single mothers or whatever it may be. This is giving you 10 legitimate suggestions in 2.5 seconds. So let's just keep going along this kind of idea, and let's say, how should the social worker avoid countertransference during the assessment? Let's see what it says. Maintain self-awareness. Regularly check in with yourself and be mindful of your emotions, thoughts, and reactions to the client. Manage stress. Practice self-care and find healthy ways to manage stress and burnout to prevent it from affecting your work. Use self-reflection. Seek supervision. Set boundaries. I'm just giving the cliff notes now. Avoid personalizing the situation. So again, you're seeing it in real time. 10 things for the social worker to think about in terms of avoiding countertransference while working with this client. So now, as you notice, these are not just basic questions that I'm asking this computer. I'm not just asking it, are drugs bad for clients, or super basic questions. We're talking about biases. We're talking about countertransference. We're talking about specific questions to ask, and it's giving us all of this within seconds. And it's all, like I said, pretty legit and just needs a little tailoring to your specific needs if you were to use it. So let's say this social worker now is in the situation. They're kind of got a case plan going. They're assessing. They're thinking about bias. They're thinking about countertransference. Now they want to kind of affirm the work that this client is doing. So let's ask ChatGPT, what are 10 positive, let's say, affirming, my typing is bad, statements that the social worker can say to the client during this meeting. See what it says. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. I'm here to support you and help you find the resources you need. I believe in your strengths and abilities. I'm here to listen and understand your unique situation. I'm here to help you find solutions to any challenges you may be facing. You're not alone, and we'll work together to find a solution. I'm confident that we'll be able to find a plan that works for you and your family. I'm here to help empower you and support you in making positive changes. You are valued, and I'm here to help you access the resources you need to succeed. So again, very specific, direct actions that ChatGPT is giving this worker that they can take with this client. I asked for 10 positive affirming statements, and these are all definitely legitimate statements that can be made to this client and pertain to that initial short paragraph of information that we gave. So in the interest of time, I copied and pasted this one, and I'll read it out to you just in case you can't see it as I paste it here in the box. So this is the next one that I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Now this is, again, I'm not asking for ideas. I'm asking for it to specifically and directly give me something concrete to work with here. And I'm telling ChatGPT,
create a sample case notes entry that the social worker would write after meeting with and assessing this client and using professional tone and language that describes the assessment, presenting conditions, case plan developed, and next steps.
So I'm telling it now, give me a case notes entry that covers all this stuff that we've been talking about. And let's see what it gives us. 1, 2, that was a second and a half. So here it goes. Case notes, client, 36-year-old female, data assessment, presenting conditions. It talks about the client is currently unemployed and homeless, 10-year-old daughter, 7-year-old son, different fathers. Client has all the information that we gave it is providing it there and presenting conditions. Assessment. During the assessment, the client was able to provide information about their cultural background and experience. So it's giving what the client shared based on what this hypothetical fictional scenario we've provided. Case plan developed. Now it's going to go down and show the 10 points of the case plan, I'm assuming, which is what it's doing here. So remember, this is a case notes entry that we asked it to give us. So this is something that a social worker might put into whatever system they have to track visits, to track meetings, to record their case notes. And so it has the next steps here. So as you can see, I asked it to provide us with that case note entry, and here it is. So again, a worker could go in, cut and paste this, and then put it onto a Microsoft Word document, let's say, and then when it's not in this system anymore and it's just on a Word document, then a worker can tailor it maybe with specific names or specific details where privacy and confidentiality would not be an issue because it's either on a private server for that organization on their Microsoft Word, or maybe in their actual data collection or note recording system, whatever they're using. So let's just say that a couple of weeks pass, the social worker continues to meet with the client, continues building rapport, and the client shares a little bit more information about what they have going on in their life. And in the interest of time, again, I'm just going to cut and paste this and I'll read it off to you.
During a home visit, the client identified that they participate once a month in a book club and play in a weekly co-ed basketball league where they have made new friends. They also stated that they have started going to church again and attend social gatherings with other church members on Sundays. The client identified that their goal is to renew their driver's license and move to a larger apartment in the next 4 to 6 months.
So I gave it that added information, and now I'm going to give it another command or another prompt. Rewrite the case plan, but include the additional goals to reflect this information. Make sure that there are not too many items on the case plan that will make it too difficult to complete. So let's see what it does with that. 2 seconds later, it begins to develop a case plan. And we'll wait for it to come out. But as you can see, these are just basic prompts that I'm giving it. I'm giving it, a little chunk of information and a basic prompt. Write a case plan. What are 10 questions I can ask? How should I be careful of my own biases? Just very basic questions. And it's giving thorough, robust, legitimate social work answers to these questions. And so here is the new case plan. And if I can read here some of the ones that weren't in the original one, renew driver's license and participate in community activities such as the book club and basketball league, attend church and participate in social gatherings with other church members to continue building community connections. And so it's taken that information, the new information, and developed a new case plan. It has some of the old stuff, but it incorporated the new stuff as well. So let's finish this off and let's see what it can do with this. I'm going to give it a pretty basic prompt and let's see what it can do. I'll say, based on all of the information above, write a report using professional tone and social work specific terminology. Okay, let's go with that. 1, 2 seconds later, it's spitting out a report for us. Client assessment report, client information, 36-year-old Latina female, presenting conditions. It's going to go through and give us a report on that, and I'll speed this up so we can save some time. All right, so a little bit of time has passed, maybe 1 minute, and ChatGPT has gone ahead and provided for us a report here. And this report includes presenting conditions, assessment findings, case plan development, the case plan itself, some talk about what the client plans to do and how they plan to get to their goals, and a last kind of summary statement. So we could ask it to write this in a shorter form. We could ask it to write it using 1,000 words, 1,500 words, 2,000 words, and ChatGPT will do that. But hopefully this second demonstration video that I'm giving you gives you another idea of just what's possible with ChatGPT and the application of what it can do to social work. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We just randomly pulled out a scenario and some questions for it, and I hope you can see that it is amazing what's possible. And like I said, I'm going to be putting more videos out that have a little bit more specific information about how to structure your prompts, how to develop this kind of storyline in this chat that'll give you what you want from the system. I know you hear this all the time, but quickly, make sure you subscribe, follow, whatever it is on TikTok, YouTube, and all the other places, because I'm continuing to stay on top of ChatGPT as it develops, specifically how it pertains to social work, and I'm eager to share that with all of you so that hopefully you can find some support or some ways to streamline your practice and maybe get your organization to kind of start changing a little bit and seeing, at least considering how we can incorporate this powerful, powerful tool into the work that we do to help others. I hope this helped. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.